Hello, welcome to the Turret of Pleasure here in the Enchanted Kingdom of Hermione. I'm your host, Lord Chamberlain of the Enchanted Kingdom, Zip Gun. And we're talking about where to get started with artists if you don't know who they are. You hear about them through the hipster press. I'm getting challenges from people. Here's one that I got was somebody said, "Oh yeah, well what do you do, Sun Ra?" Okay. Sun Ra is a weird one because Sun Ra, well, first of all, Sun Ra has made several million records. Second of all, Sun Ra's music goes through a whole lot of different eras, and they're all really different to each other. So, it's kind of tricky. Most people think Sun Ra is just a weirdo, freak show, lunatic, whatever you want to call it, which he was. But he was also a terrific musician and really knew what he was doing and was a really great composer. So a lot of people, like there's a lot of records out there, you listen to them. If it's your first Sun Ra record, you're going to go, I don't know, what? And if you've heard about him, you might have heard he's a synthesizer pioneer, which he was, but you might expect, I don't know what you might expect, to be quite honest. Now, the thing about Sun Ra over the years, things are better now, folks. You youngins, you got it way better off. When I was a young man and I heard about Sun Ra through the grapevine, the only record available anywhere, at least from Victoria, BC, Canada, was this one. And this is the Heliocentric Worlds of Sun Ra. This was, for the longest time, kind of your gateway to Sun Ra, where I lived. There really wasn't anything else available. And this is not the greatest record to start with. And I'll bet a lot of people, this was on ESP Disc, which was a weird label in New York, who, amongst other things, championed the use of Esperanto on their liner notes, which was great. And they put out some pretty cool records, and they had some distribution. Like this was available in our local Richard's record store back before anything like this was available in any record store. But for a long time you couldn't get his stuff. Then he got a little bit more mainstream. Impulse picked him up briefly and then dropped him, but not before putting out a bunch of records. And then he kind of went commercial. A&M picked him up for a couple of records that are pretty good records. And then he died, and a gigantic reissue occurred where almost all of his self-produced records became available almost all at the same time, which was overwhelming to some of us. But we persevered, and I for one, bought them all. They're all great. You can follow. Charting the course of Sun Ra's career is a fascinating musical journey, because it goes here and then it goes right back again, just like life. Not the place to start. Now, if you want to get a grip on Sun Ra, actually I should just drag this out now. A good place to start, and I'm willing to bet you can watch this movie for free just about anywhere, is his movie that he made called Space is the Place. This is the umpteenth reissue of the movie soundtrack. It comes with a DVD. This was worth like $50 or I don't know, $35. Now, if you want to watch the movie, I'll guarantee it's on YouTube for free. It is a hoot. It is not unadulterated Sun Ra. The filmmakers did a bit with it too. But musically, it's a great introduction because you get a little bit of everything of his. You get a little bit of his old, very swing influence stuff. Then he got into exotica and kind of almost like Martin Denny music, but with serious jazz improvisational things going on in it. Then he got into just basically free jazz and free form electronica, because he had one of the very first Moog synthesizers, and he almost disappeared into the ozone in that era, to the point where various compositions, you didn't know where one started, where one ended, kind of like Miles Davis in the 70s, but maybe even more so. And then he suddenly kind of did an about face, and he started getting back into the stuff that he did when he was a kid working with Fletcher Henderson. And he did some King Porter Stomp and St. Louis Blues. He did a couple of solo piano records that were really nice. And so he really kind of went full circle. So, if you want to try and get a taste of the man's totality, this is probably a pretty good start. Not bad. If you get the bug and you can find it, it's probably not cheap, but this is the singles. Yes, he made singles, 7-inch singles, many of them. In fact, so many of them that even the authority on Sun Ra's records, guy named, is it Campbell, doesn't know how many records he made. Nobody does. This is an absolute cross-section of every era of Sun Ra. There's doo-wop groups, there's surf music, there's avant-garde noise, there's drum machine rhythm, disco, art damage. It's just everything in this. Some huge big bands, great big band arrangements. It is chock-a-block, and it's a super delightful collection. If you find if you can find it for like $20 somewhere, buy it. Failing that, Sun Ra's, if you can't listen to it first, you're kind of taking a chance, because some of his records are not super well recorded, because he did a lot of them himself. B, some of them are completely chaotic and nuts. A lot of them are much more some of them are actually figured out. The older ones are slightly tighter. Delmark ones, Savoy ones, the ones he actually did for labels have a certain cohesion to them. The ones he did for his own label, Saturn, most of which came out on the Evidence label, they're all cool. If you can find them cheap, buy them. There really are no bad Sun Ra records. Only more difficult to absorb Sun Ra records. There's one from Japan which features a whole CD of him talking about his philosophy, which I don't think anybody's ever listened to all the way through. And there's the two on A&M, which are kind of his return to his big band roots. Pretty commercial, very solid. He had a late career renaissance playing Disney music. He had a real affection for Disney. And so he kind of he was on a Hal Wilner record doing Pink Elephants on Parade, and, so it's all over the place, and a lot of it's really good. Very little of it is bad. And like I say, the rule would be, if it was on Saturn, it might be kind of weird or rough. But if you get the bug, it won't matter. There, Sun Ra in 5 minutes, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications and all of those things, and we're going to make more of these. They're fun to make. Thanks for watching, and take care of each other. See you later.